We're talking about e-cigarettes. We're asking you, we want to know what you think about it. Comment on our Facebook page, Expresso Morning Show SABC3, and tell us, do you mind or what do you feel when people smoke e-cigarettes near you or in a room beside you? But you know what, as the saying goes, where there is smoke, there is a fire. And a global statement being released on the 9th of July to the United Nations will highlight some of the unknown elements of electronic cigarettes. The statement is predicted to have a massive impact on, given the current popularity of e-cigarettes worldwide, and one of the co-authors of the statement, Dr. Van Zyl-Smit, is in studio to discuss some of his findings on e-cigarettes. Dr. Van Zyl-Smit, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Very nice to have you.
My pleasure.
And I'm glad we're talking about this because it's a very controversial issue in terms of, is it healthier than your regular cigarettes? And we're talking about the fact that, I mean, e-cigarettes ran up a bill of $2 billion a year. I mean, it's a very popular device to use. But talk to me a bit about your involvement in terms of the statement that you drafted to the United Nations.
So the statement was drawn up by a group called FIRS, which stands for Forum of International Respiratory Societies. So it's the leading lung health societies of all the continents, America, Asia, South Africa, or Africa at least, and to try and put out a position statement to say, what do we think the current knowledge is and where should governments, where should policyholders be thinking, putting their money, putting the policies. I'm obviously not privy to be able to explain to you exactly what that says at this point until that comes out. But as you said, it's hugely controversial. There are many sides to the argument.
Yeah.
And the two main areas are the regulation. So do you control them like a cigarette? Do you control them like a medicine? Are they a supplement? And then the second aspect really comes about health. Are they safe? Yes. Are they safer?
Because I think this is the reason why people turn to e-cigarettes.
Absolutely.
To the health reason.
And that's the big draw card. And there's a lot of controversy about how safe are they actually, how much research has been done, what do we actually know about them, and should people be using them as much as they are?
Well, you've done some research on your own, and you shared some of your findings on e-cigarettes in the Health Intelligence magazine, and we're talking about the fact that not only maybe smokers looking for a healthier alternative, but pregnant women, young women. What were some of your findings, if you can share?
Well, so the findings, the work that I've really been doing is focusing on nicotine and as part of a tobacco cigarette. And the e-cigarette, the big difference between an e-cigarette and a tobacco cigarette is that an e-cigarette only contains nicotine plus some flavorants. So it's purported to be much safer and should be much safer than a normal tobacco cigarette because of all the chemicals and cancer-causing drugs. Nicotine in and of itself is not what we call an inert substance. It has effects on the body. So it can reduce your immunity, it can affect your cardiovascular, your heart and your blood pressure. So it's not a purely safe drug, as it were.
So even though you get rid of all the chemicals in tobacco cigarettes, by using e-cigarettes, there's still the factor of nicotine.
Yeah. And one of the very interesting issues with e-cigarettes is the safety around the liquid. So you would have seen, I'm sure, that they are flavored. You can get gummy bear flavor, vanilla, all sorts of different flavors. And the increase in numbers of calls to poison centers in the US from parents whose children have now smelt the liquid, smells nice, and drunk it, or arriving in the emergency unit from nicotine poisoning has increased dramatically. So there's a concern there about the safety, not necessarily for you, the e-cigarette smoker, but also for family members or children who may actually smell the stuff. Smells great.
Exactly.
And then drink it.
It does smell nice. I mean, I've been around numerous people who smoke e-cigarettes, and I mean, it's a nice vapor. It's not as intrusive as your normal tobacco cigarette smell. But I want to know, what is your personal opinion on e-cigarettes? I mean, you've done the research, but I want to know how you feel personally about it.
At this particular point, given all the evidence that I have before me as a researcher as well as a lung specialist, I'm taking a fairly cautious approach to say, if you're a smoker, tobacco smoker, it may help you to get off, although there's not a lot of evidence to support that. So it's worth a try. I personally wouldn't advise anyone to use them. If you're not a smoker, there's absolutely no point using an e-cigarette. It could potentially be very dangerous over 5 or 10 years. We just don't know. But as a smoker, it's worth a shot. But I'm not sure that spending the amount of money on tobacco cigarettes that you normally do, switching to an e-cigarette, may be that much beneficial in the long term. But if it can get you off, then absolutely it's worth a shot.
Dr. von Selsma, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And yes, I think we should keep an eye out on that statement that's going to come out soon. And I think it's going to be very interesting for people to read that. Thank you very much for joining us on the show this morning.
My pleasure.
Really appreciate it. E-cigarettes, that's what we're talking about on your Feel Good Breakfast show this morning. And we're asking you, how do you feel about the fact that people smoke e-cigarettes around you, maybe in a room near you? Log on to our Facebook page, Expresso Morning Show SABC3. We'll get back to you regarding those comments pretty soon. We are going to be taking a very quick ad break. Stay tuned because we are talking to Kemiso Motung of the Kaizer Chiefs and finding out who will they be supporting. Will they be supporting Germany? Will they be supporting Brazil? Find out after the break.